There we are. I think there we are. Happy Friday night. Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. It's been forever. It's been forever. Oh my gosh. It's great to see you. Happy Friday night and welcome back. God, we have so much to talk about and I am so high strung. You're really in for it tonight. God, this is going to be a fun night. I was just sitting here waiting for the time to tick over to 7. Welcome back, everybody. I am sorry for the long gap. We will talk all about it. We will catch up. There's so much to say tonight. In case there's a confusion of seasons behind me, I just wanted to let you know that I wasn't yet ready to part with this pretty autumn picture. And I also felt like I needed to put Niagara Falls, which is this right here, dipping down like a deep crater of the earth, just like the earth just the sea just falling into this abyss. It's the strangest sight. You've probably been there too, but and I've been there myself, but I kind of forgot what impact such a huge waterfall has. This is the Canadian side where I was last week for the TIGHR convention. We'll talk all about that, but first, I want to say, oh Sage, good to see you. But it's Yom Kippur. Well, this will be recorded, and we will see you. We will see you next time. I hope you have fun with your friends. And oh, that sounds great. It will be there for you. Happy celebrating. Anita, great to see you. And it was great to see you in person last week. That was the best thing about TIGHR, certainly, is seeing so many buddies. We'll get there in a second. Great to see your faces on the live photo. It was lovely. Yeah, Rebecca was there too with me. Oh, I'll tell you all about it. It really was the best. It was such a lot of fun. Mom, happy cocktail night. Cheers, my dears. It's great to see you. Just got a little drop of wine, but we'll make it last. Lately, okay, immediately a detour. Hmm, think it's still good. Lately, my hand doesn't want to hold stuff like this anymore. Does anybody have that? I mean, both hands. It's like this is kind of okay, but is this carpal tunnel or is this just getting older? It's like my hand, when I grab the coffee cup and it's heavy, it's like it's too much to fit in my hand. You know what I mean? And I'm looking for things that have handles like this. Hopefully, it's not carpal tunnel. Hopefully, it's just a little bit of getting old. I'm okay with that. Kirsten, cheers, my dears. Great to see you. Sharon, great to see you. Hello in Vancouver. I'm really looking forward to tonight. It really has been forever since we've been together. And I really miss it. Melissa, great to see you. Hello. So happy that you're there too. Welcome back. Melanie, great to see you. Happy Friday from almost sunny Western Washington. Great to see you. Linda, cheers, my dears. Nice little maple leaf too. I'm going to down this whole tiny glass, which is okay because I don't think it's expired. I don't think I'm going to be sick, but I don't think that it's as it should be. We'll have to see what happens next. Cheryl, great to see you. Cheers, my dears. Great way to spend cocktail night. Feeling the cool fall days, busy bees, busy honeybees, and lots of mushrooms. Oh, that is such a good combo, isn't it? What fun. That is so festive too, so seasonal. Catherine, great to see you. Happy cocktail night. Let's have a blast. Absolutely. Let's have a blast. Diana, I haven't even had time to listen to your message yet. I saw you left me one right before the thing. Cheers, my dears. Great to see you. Happy Friday. Catherine, happy Friday. Great to see you there this afternoon in Southern California. April, great to see you. Happy cocktail night to you too. Ryan, happy Friday from sunny Fort Worth, Texas. Great to see you. Diet soda after a full day of thrift shopping. Oh man, lucky you. Did you find some good stuff? Did you say? Feeling bliss. Oh, hope you all have an amazing weekend. Peace and love to you too. Happy Friday. Shannon, great to see you. Shannon will be with me within the week. I can't believe it's time. I can't believe it's time. We'll talk about that in a second. Whew, my eyes started twitching right there. Happy Friday. Oh, we are going to see some beautiful rugs. It really was crazy. I hope you all saw at TIGHR the videos that I posted. I did one video with Betty Ann Cormier, and we were talking about Chetty Camp, and they say Chetty Camp rugs. And she was sitting at her Chetty Camp frame. More on that. But what a great, I just loved her so much. We'll talk about her when we get to her slide, but she's one of my idols, and I loved spending time with her. There were great classes, and there was a great rug show. It was just it was nonstop fun. Let's see. Hi to my sister Mindy is joining for the first time. Oh, fantastic! Sister Mindy, Sister Mindy, great to see you. Happy Friday night and welcome for the first time. I am so happy that you're there. Carol, good to see you. Cheers and greetings from Northford. Great to see you. Joyce, great to see you. Happy cocktail night to you too. Happy Friday. Barbara, great to see you. Happy Friday. Great to see you in person as well. Dave, great to see you. I'm so sorry I didn't make it on this time. There will definitely be another time, and it will be in the near future. I needed a bit more time anyway, more than like a couple of hours, um, to be continued. So you are having kitchen sink pizza, rye sour. Oh, that's an elegant combo. I'm not joking. I would love that combo. Hooking a new rug. That sounds exciting. Melinda, great to see you. Hello to you too. Sharon says I'm still laughing about the rug with the cicada emerging from her house. Yeah. Oh, the bug rugs were amazing. Where do I even start? Where do I even start? Let's start with some announcements first before I forget. Some important stuff, and then we will do the content for the day. Kirsten says, congrats on getting the haunted rug to press. Okay, so let's start with that. Thank you. Um, let's start with that. The haunted rug. Whew. So I didn't give us a lot of time to put this book together. And I didn't realize, I'm so happy that so many people participated. It's a big book. I am right under the 200 mark. If I went over the 200 mark, it would literally break the bank. The bank would be broken and in ashes. So we're right under that 200 mark. Luckily, we got everything in. Everything looks great. I cut some chapters on purpose. The people whose chapters I cut, you already know because we talked about it. If you haven't heard from me, your chapter is in there. Everything is planned. Whew, that was rough. My husband and I were just finishing it like 2 or 3 days ago at 1:30 in the morning and just checking for the umpteenth time. Normally, I'm not super persnickety with details, but in this case, this is the first book that I've published myself. And did you notice I set up a press in the meantime that is called the Ribbon Candy Bookshelf? And it's there for the books that I make, us together, right? Not me, but us together, our group projects. The next one is the Rose book. Let's hold on that, but that is the next one for spring. So I'm going to shoot to do 2 books a year, us together, right? Because when I can give a shout out and people come in and say, yep, send me a pattern, I'm going to do it, I'll get it in, we can make the rug that way. I can get many books out, and it's all of our work, which is much more fun than just my work. So I want to keep doing that. I want to stick to a schedule of 4 magpies a year, 2 of my own books through the Ribbon Candy Bookshelf a year, and any books that you all do that we agree are good books. We both mutually agree that you like the way that they are. If you're in the Writers Club, you already know. If we have a product that I think is saleable and right and fits and that I'm happy with too, I'll publish yours too, and we'll figure that all out. So that Ribbon Candy Bookshelf is there for all of us. And the Haunted Rug is the first book that will come out as a Ribbon Candy book, the Ribbon Candy Bookshelf publication. So it was really important to me that it was absolutely perfect. My author's copies are ordered and heading my way. I will tell you, and I was torn about whether to say this yet or not. I will tell you that my author's copies are on the way. Those will all be signed and sent to you. Those are the ones that you've ordered, and I'm bringing a big stack to the Haunted Rug Book Party. Fingers crossed that everything happens on time and nothing is delayed. But it is also worth saying that the book is now on Amazon. It's just the way it is. It goes on Amazon before I received my author's copies. So if you ordered it from me, I will sign it and I will turn it right around and send it to you as soon as it's in my hand. If you haven't ordered it yet, or you want a second copy, or you want it as a hardcover copy, it's already on Amazon. So I didn't know if I should tell you that, but I thought, just in case, I know a lot of people want more than one. I know a lot of people haven't ordered yet. It's there, right? So it is there, but if you ordered it from me, it is essentially on the way. My author's copies are coming toward me, and then they're going to go straight back to you, and those will always be signed. If I get them, they get signed. So unless you tell me otherwise. So thank you, Kirsten. I'm very happy that the Haunted Rug is done. I am so happy with it. Incredibly, I don't think I put a picture of it into, let me see if I can show you on my stupid phone, into the gallery show. I did the front. I got the front. Here we go. Let me see if you can even see this. This never works, does it? Ah, stupid thing. Whole stupid thing closed. Can you see that a little bit? Not really, right? A little bit. You see the spider rug on the front, and the rug on the back is by Mandy Cornish, and that is the Big Shadows rug. So, and the sub thing says, what did I write? It says, I used my name for this because now we're using the Ribbon Candy bookshelf. So that's where we're putting Ribbon Candy in. But I thought, I never put my name on anything. I'm going to put my name on this because it's the first one that I'm publishing without a big publisher or a small publisher. And that's really exciting. It says The Haunted Rug, a spooky bumper book. Do you remember the expression bumper book for something that's really full and full of fun stuff like games and crosswords and photos and stuff like that? A spooky bumper book of rug hooking patterns for early autumn through Halloween. It's a lot of patterns, and it's a big book, and it is going to be, thank you. Thanks, April. It's absolutely beautiful. I think. I mean, it looks beautiful. Everything seems perfect. I hope it's good. Fingers crossed. Thank you so much. Special shout out and thank you to Patreon members for getting me through this time. It is really hard getting the balance right. I'm trying to get books going. I'm trying to get other people's books going. I'm trying to work with a lot of people at once. I'm trying to keep the business going and teach and run classes and make stuff to sell stuff. I'm not making as much stuff, projects, kits, things like that, because I'm working on Magpie. I'm working on books. I've got 8 speaking dates in the next like 10 days. I mean, it's crazy right now. It was just in Canada, and then 2 days later, I took my kids and our whole family to New Hampshire for our annual. I wasn't going to cut that. It's been a lot lately. Plus, I've got the 2 kids, right? So it's been hard lately. And Patreon members, thank you so much for your continued support. I've been trying to put out a lot of content, a lot of things first. I posted a video maybe about a week ago, maybe not quite, showing for the first time some of the patterns in the Haunted Rug book. And some of the ones I have on backing that are for sale. I did that for Patreon members because I want you to know how much I extra appreciate the support that you give this brand. It is hard to juggle. There are always a lot of balls in the air. I am always a little bit crazy, so that never helps. But I've been getting through lately in I think spectacularly, for me, healthy way. And we've all been making progress. So many of you have work in the Haunted Rug book and are hopefully working on Magpie Times. The next issue is the winter issue. The deadline for that is November 10th. So the theme is Marshmallow World, like the song, but anything winter would be great. And if you have ideas you want to send to me, or you've already sent them to me or to Judy, fantastic. That'll be another great, big, huge issue. I would like to do an episode, cocktail night or coffee time, maybe an evening episode on the Magpie 3 at some point soon. Kirsten, do you want to do that with me? Because I feel like we should look at that together. I always blow by the Magpies, and it's so important to look at them and honor them because people are really enjoying this magazine. It's selling well. The content that's going in there is fantastic. If you're thinking, I'm just beginning, I'm a hooker, I'm more of a quilter, my stuff isn't that good, please submit stuff, right? Seasonal stuff that will fit the next issue, winter, for Magpie Times, to Magpie Times, Magpie Times Magazine at gmail.com, or always ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com. Please put your stuff out there, right? You don't have to be the best. You don't have to be the best at anything in this world, but you do have to show up, and you feel better when you show up, don't you? You feel better. So put your stuff out there, share your stuff. We love to publish everybody's things, beginners' things, really technical things, and everything in between, right? So that there's something for everyone. Happy to after the book launch party. So the book launch party is coming up. This is another, sorry, I have a seed in my mouth. I just had a shake. Oh, it's a strawberry seed. I'm afraid it's going to chip my tooth. Sorry, that was gross. The book party is coming up really soon. Next weekend. So Sunday, October 20th at the Red Lion Inn in Stockbridge, Massachusetts, which is the Berkshires. I hope that you will come. The cutoff to buy a ticket, right, because it's a ticket situation, because it is noon till 5, and there will be vendors there. I will be there. There will be a rug show. We're putting rugs up on boards. There will be selling. There will be a hook in. There will be the rugs to actually look at. There will just be a party for hours. And I hope that you will be there. But you do need to have a ticket because I need to tell the Red Lion how many meals we're having. Your ticket comes with like regular beverages, regular non-alcoholic drinks, and tea sandwiches. I chose tea sandwiches for us. So it comes with that. And then there will be a cash bar in there too. Just saying. That will have like beers and seasonal drinks like the seasonal cider, stuff like that, if you like that. That will be there. But it will come with, oh, hey, Ted, you going to come say hi?
Yeah.
It will come with tea sandwiches. So the cutoff for getting your ticket is this coming month. Here, come here, baby.
Oh, hold on. What's that line right there?
Oh,
that's like, oh yeah, that's a part of the green screen.
it's a part of the green screen.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Do you like that? Here,
I do.
let me put you up there. You having a good day, my man?
Yeah. I am. I like the pasta.
I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Did you like all the bacon I put in there? There we go. I knew it. I put like five pieces of bacon. Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thanks for the great review. Usually when I serve him meal, if I wasn't doing the show, I would go, "You're getting lots of hellos, Teddy. You popular guy. Teddy, are you going to come to the Haunted Rug book launch for a few hours?" Yeah, maybe. Normally when I serve him food, I go upstairs to his room and I say, just like eat a couple bites so I can look at your face because he usually loves what I make him. It makes me feel so good. But yeah, I couldn't this time because I was live. So it was good to get that report. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. They're good kids. They're such good kids. So yeah, that book party is coming up on October 20th. And I do need to let the Red Lion know definitively on Monday. So Monday's the cutoff. If you're sitting on the fence and thinking, ooh, I'm going to the Fiber Festival nearby, right? The Rhinebeck Fiber Festival right over the line in New York on Saturday, the day before. Is it going to be too tight? Come to the party. Come to the party. It'll be so much fun. Honestly, it will be so much fun. So I will be there. I'll be there for the party, of course. And then I put something on Facebook to say, so just so you know my movements and what else is out there, and I will do more of this in the next few days, now that the book is to print. On Monday, I'm personally heading over to the Norman Rockwell Museum, and I think some of you are too, because it's 5 minutes away, and it is my favorite museum. It is so much fun. They always have another exhibit besides Norman's work, which, with the exception of the Four Freedoms, classic Four Freedoms in their own room. They do rotate his work, and you will see tons of covers. In the bottom level, there's a film that is just on a loop, and every Saturday Evening Post cover that he ever did. So that is like, oh, such a tearjerker. And upstairs in the galleries, hundreds of his pieces. But there is always another exhibit within the museum that is illustration related. And it is right now the art of Mad magazine. Do you remember Mad magazine? I always think of that as kind of a cartoony magazine, but there were some important artists that were associated with Mad magazine. So there will be a whole exhibit that is included in the ticket for Norman Rockwell. So I'm just saying because my movements the next day will be, I will certainly go to the Norman Rockwell Museum. And then I plan to kind of cruise around Main Street Stockbridge that he famously painted, and maybe even hop one town over to Lenox, Massachusetts, with another beautiful town center, the kind of town center where you park the car and then you just walk for hours and hours, and you eat at one of the cute restaurants or taverns. Cute bookstore there, cheese store. There's at least one yarn store that I like very much there. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. So there's two town centers within a few minutes of each other. That's really great, and also Great Barrington, right? On the other side of Stockbridge, a big, huge main street. Again, tons of stores and antiques. And anyway, I'll probably be there for a couple of nights. I'm going to be with Shannon. We're going to stay together and do some cruising around. And it might be that I try to loop in some other stuff. I haven't had time to think yet, but I would like to see the Shaker Village, which is really nearby. I'd love to go back to Edith Wharton's The Mount, which was her house. I'll see if anything's happening there. There's also nearby Herman Melville's house, Arrowhead. These are all beautiful historic places that you could go while you're there. So if you haven't been to that part of the Berkshires before, you are so spoiled for choice. The Fiber Festival is also next weekend. So, book party's on Sunday, but I think the Fiber Festival is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Just saying. Also, not too far away in Northampton, Massachusetts, and I'm going to stop in a minute because I know not all of you are going. Not too far away in Northampton, Massachusetts is the store called, I know some of you know this already, Webb's. the largest yarn store in the country. And it is spectacular. It is enormous. And the best thing about it is, besides being a huge store, right? They have a catalog, and maybe you shop with them already. They have a back room that is vast. It is like a empty factory, right? It's huge. And everything is on a crazy sale there, and they have multiples of everything. But for us as hookers, if you just want one ball of this and one ball of that, man, you can make away with some of the best, prettiest yarns, lots of all wools, everything you can name, every brand you can name, like the sort of higher end ones, in that back room on sale. So that's something to think about too. There's lots of things that you could add on to that trip. I hope that I see you at the Haunted Rug book event on October 20th. Just remember to get that ticket before Monday, the 20th. I am putting the swag bags together now. The swag bags, I think, went up as a product at Ribbon Candy Hooking. They are absolutely finite. When I am out because I got X amount of, I'm looking at one of those things. It's good, but it's a secret. One, two, three, three tools, a pattern, and yarn. Right. So I'm going to leave it general like that. It's not like it's not like the craziest biggest swag bag ever. But for a party this size and a ticket that isn't a crazy price that includes food, it's a great swag bag, and I'm super, super proud of it. But if you're not able to come to the party, you can still order the swag bag as long as I still have them in stock, because I will not be able to restock them. It's way too fiddly, some of the stuff that I've had made to put into the swag bag. So anyway, that is the party. That's coming up. That's for us. And we will certainly take pictures and record some video for those of you who are not able to be there with us. Grab a swag bag. If you order it before I have the books, I'll send them out together. You'll get the Haunted Rug book and the swag bag together. It'll be a very good day, right? I also want to mention that my buddy Rebecca Martin will be teaching a class that we will be announcing in the next few days. She's going to start teaching classes through Ribbon Candy Hooking on a regular basis. Her first class is going to be in November. We've yet to nail down the date. It will be a holiday-themed class that involves mason jars, right? It doesn't involve a kit, right? So you'll have like a supply list. Punching and decorating the top of mason jars with all of her fancy stitches. The idea is for holiday gifts, right? Being able to do the lids in 100 different ways to give as gifts, as like, make your own cookie thing or fill it with something or jam or whatever. But mason jars, right? And doing the lids in so many different ways. If you've seen her do this project before, she's the master of special stitches and samplers and things like that. So that's going to be a really fun class for people who have been hooking and punching forever, and for those of you who are brand new. It's a nice, manageable project, and it'll be a great first class for her to come and teach in November in anticipation of the holidays. One more thing. I put up a video today. I don't think I have it here. I'll show you when we hit the slideshow. Let me do a sip, and let's get in there. I used to steal my brother's Mad magazine. Isn't that funny? Yeah, I remember at my grandmother's house, they used to be a stack of them on the back of the toilet, whatever you call the tank, right on the tank, right next to the sign. Mom, remember that Graham had that said, "If it's yellow, I better not." It's dinner time for some of you. I miss Graham. She was such a funny little elf. I'll be at the book party in spirit. Oh, you just got me excited for a second there. In spooky spirit. That sounds great. There's a little fruit fly near me. He's after my wine. Okay, let's get started. So should I tell you the news first? And I think you've probably already figured out the news if you've been following really closely. Let's talk about TIGHR for a second, because this is really exciting. And I have been dying to be able to say this on the show for such a long time. So TIGHR. TIGHR is the International Guild of hand-hooked rug makers, right? So like hand hooking, hand tool. It's a mouthful. It's a tough one, and that's why everyone says TIGHR. Now, TIGHR is an organization that every 3 years, right? So there's membership for 3 years, and let's hold on that thought, because the change over for membership will be, I think, in January. I might be wrong about that, and if it's sooner, you will be the first people to know, I can guarantee. But it's an organization, it's an international organization that's a little more, there's a bit more variety, right? than we're seeing in like our North American events. For example, this one was in Canada, in Ontario, at the Niagara Falls side of the falls. And we were there for 4 days, I think 3 nights. I was there with Rebecca. We shared, and I picked her up in Buffalo, and we drove to the hotel, and we had a great time. It's made up, like other rug cooking events, of classes, of get togethers, of parties, of lunches, of talks during the day, rug show, demonstrators, vendors, all kinds of things happening. But it was a remarkable mix up. Like, there were a lot of ladies there from Japan. There was a big group from Ireland and England, right? Heather Ritchie's friends, right? Because she's passed away. Like that whole group from the past TIGHR that happened in Reeth, UK. I mean, there were people from all over the world. Many countries were represented. Every province of Canada was represented. There were tons of American friends there too. There were about 380 people there, all in, and it was just a great mix of people, a lot of energy. TIGHR culminates in a convention every third year, so it is a triennial. The interesting thing about TIGHR is that it's meant to not stagnate. In other words, it's not meant to be, and I'm not dissing anything or anyone, but it's not meant to be the same every year, right? It's not meant to be like the reunion that you go and all your friends are there and it's the same teachers and it's the same vendors every year. It's not meant to be that. It's meant to be something very different. Every 3 years, every 3 years, TIGHR exists, right? And if you're a member, you get access to the things that only members see, like whatever the content is for that 3 year block, under the board who's running it. At the end of the 3 years, it culminates in this great big party slash convention that happens somewhere in the world, right? It can be anywhere in the world. Last time it was just now at Niagara Falls in Canada. The time before, I think it was at Reeth. The time before, I'm not sure. I think it's been in Australia recently. It has not been in the United States for a really long time. So, having said that, and it's meant to be different. Every 3 years, there's a party, and then that board has finished, right? Because it is culminated in a party, and it is handed over to the next board. That board spends the next 3 years giving out content, planning, steering the ship, right? It's a stewardship, steering the ship that is TIGHR, moving it toward the future, angling it, and each board independently has absolute control over the whole thing. What time of year it will be, what country it will be in, who the vendors will be, who the other board members will be, everything comes down to the president of the board. You can see where we're going with this. So, backstory, right? And this is the part I couldn't tell you. In February, when I went to visit Rebecca in Colorado, we were talking about it, and we were talking to some of the existing board members, and the offer came for Rebecca and I to be at least two of the board members of the upcoming TIGHR. And I immediately said, no way. I am completely drowning here. I am in the weeds all the time. I couldn't possibly take on another thing as important as this. And if you know Rebecca and you've seen us together, which I think you have, she knows how to do workarounds with me quite well. And she kind of backed it up, right? She's very good at this. She kind of backed it up, and then she kind of came back at an angle and was like, yeah, I know, like, you don't want to do this. Like, this is just too much. Because she's like, well, I'm not doing it if you're not doing it. Like, I'm not in it unless you're going to come. She said, I want to come in as vice president, but if you're not coming in as president, I'm not going to do it. And I thought, ooh, I don't want to spoil this for her either, but I just can't. You got to know when to say no, right? And she said, well, you know how it has always been your huge mission in rug making to bring it to different places, to bring it to different people, to reach out more to beginners, to do more outreach, to have more variety, to break up the small clubs and bring in a mixture of people, keep the traditions, keep the best of the last, and move toward new things, right? And yeah, just be inclusive. And I thought, as we were sitting there, oh God, I'm going to end up doing this, aren't I? So yes, I ended up saying yes. So I am the new president, and the changeover officially won't be for a couple more months, I think. But I am the new president of TIGHR, and this is exciting for us. And in the last months, I wasn't able to tell you because it wasn't announced until we were at the TIGHR convention. So let me show you that. moment, and this is going to involve all of us. And I will give you the details now that I can. So this was the moment we went up on stage, and she kind of, I got on the mic and I introduced Rebecca as vice president, and then the rest of our board. Now, here's a part that's really important that I hope that I know that you'll appreciate. So the rest of the board, right? So Rebecca is VP. My friend Naomi, right? Naomi Allen, who is Ravensgate Primitives. We've gone over her house several times. She is treasurer. Right? She's worked in a bank, so that's a good fit. Haley Perry of Loop by Loop. She is computers and all of that, like technical stuff. She's the youngest one. She's very good at that stuff. My buddy Colleen Tiefenthal of Beechnut Studio, she's coming in as secretary. And that is the five of us. That is the five board members. I specifically chose to have five women who we all have our own businesses and we compete with each other, just to make the point for the next 3 years that even though we're all in business alongside each other, and I guess technically we compete with each other, we do not deep six each other. We are not in scarcity mode. We don't have to one up each other to get ahead. We are in it together. We celebrate the craft. We put the craft first. This is a group of people who are in rug hooking businesses, who do business. This is their business. And what they also want to do is put the craft in the center, use these 3 years to bring it back in a wild and crazy way. So making sort of money where your mouth is, a demonstration of showing people working together who in theory are competition, right? Because that is a problem with this craft, is that people who are in competition do tend to do infighting or not sort of honor each other, lots of accusations, many lawsuits, right? No thanks, Satan, not today. So this is awesome. I love the vision. I thank you. I do too. It's all about the vision, co-leaders, and all of us are in it now. Sorry, I signed us all up for this. So the main thing is where, right? Because the president gets to decide when it'll be and where it'll be. So I chose Newport, Rhode Island. I hope that's okay with you. It is a great old city with more colonial era houses than anywhere else, right? Colonials only in the US, and most of them in Newport. All of those Gilded Age mansions, right? All those beautiful big mansions to tour, dozens of them. The sea right there, little cobblestone streets, tons of shopping, hundreds of cute restaurants, absolutely beautiful and quaint, city of first everythings, right? Like first synagogue, first library, first tavern, lots of variety and lots of what word am I looking for? For example, if the first cemetery that was devoted to African Americans with stones made by African Americans, the first bakery and restaurants owned by African Americans, and this is the 1770s, right? This is really early. Newport has always been about firsts and diversity. That's what I was looking for. So it's like the nautical stuff, the Gilded Age stuff, the museums, the mansions, Fort Adams, right? The military history, the Automobile Museum, the Tennis Hall of Fame, all of that stuff. Plus, it has all of these kind of heart-wrenching firsts. So 2027, the week of Halloween, leading up to Halloween, not including Halloween, the week of Halloween, at the end of the season when it's still warm and comfortable, a little bit quiet, we will be in Newport for TIGHR 2027, and we are having it at the Viking Hotel, which is my favorite hotel. It is like one of the old-time mansions. It's absolutely beautiful. It's having a facelift this winter, so we are getting locked-in prices so that in 2027 we're going to get super deluxe rooms in a buyout situation where it'll just be the TIGHR group. And we will be also sort of instating new traditions, right? New board, new possibilities, open to suggestions for the next 3 years. We will have 2 Emporium days in the style of sort of over-the-top, lavish Newport. 2 Emporium days with like hundreds of vendors, 2 days in a row, so that if people are in classes, you still get to shop. 2 days in a row of the best of the U.S., right? People from all over the U.S. coming that do not just rug hooking, but other fiber stuff too, right? So emphasis on rug hooking, but I hope to have rear rugs. I hope to have rug tufting. I hope to have all kinds of punching and every kind of felting, everything fiber, even weaving that you can name, will be at TIGHR 2027. If you have any ideas between now and, well, I've got to plan it probably 2 years out, but if you have any ideas, suggestions for vendors, for teachers, please let me know now. One of the reasons I went over to Michelle McRelly's house today was to pick up some linen, but I also wanted to say to her, are you in for TIGHR 2027? And she definitely is. So enough of that right now, but just so you know, this is all up to us at this point, right? On this platform, I'm going to be, and it's not like everybody can come, right? We're going to have to cap it at some point. You will certainly know on this channel everything that happens with TIGHR 2027. I know it's miles away, but it's going to go by like this. I'm going to announce everything here at Patreon first, right? You're going to hear about everything as it happens, and I am looking for ideas, and I'm also looking for guilds and unofficial groups anywhere around the country that might want to help with things like the friendship mat exchange, swag bag stuff, anything like that. If you feel like your guild might want to jump in and say, this is the event, we are behind the sort of diversity in rug making. We want to dig into this. This is what our group is all about. Just send me a message and let me know. And we're definitely going to be looking for a ton of help. This is the first time that it'll be hosted in the U.S. in many, many, many years. And presumably it won't be again anytime soon because it's supposed to bounce from country to country quite a bit, right? So it does not stagnate. So 2027, the U.S., it's us. We have a chance to really put rug making on the map, and we're going to do it. So I'm really excited. It's going to be fun. What's the closest airport to Newport? The closest one is a small one, TF Green in Providence. So that would be quite close. That's maybe 20 minutes to half an hour, depending on traffic. You could also fly into Boston, but I would say if possible, do TF Green. It's just easier. And as we get closer, we can figure all that stuff out too. Don't book anything yet. I'm getting group rates set with the Viking now. I've been talking to them for the last 3 months, like hardcore. We visited there. Rebecca and I were there over the summer. Man, there's some good stuff coming up. We're coming up with some new class formats too. It's going to be incredibly exciting, and I will tell you when it's time to join TIGHR, because there's 5 of us on the board, and we are all in business, in the rug cooking business. We are going to put out a ton of content that is TIGHR members only over the next 5 years. So we're going to kind of take turns so nobody's exhausted and say, I'm going to do a free class or free talk, or I'm going to interview someone this week, someone else, can you next week deal with something? There's going to be special content for TIGHR members. Whether or not you come to the convention, there will be special content for TIGHR members because it's its own group. So interesting. We know that ATHA happens as a biennial. So ATHA will happen the year before in Salt Lake City, right? Because I was worried about that, and I was talking to Sandra quite a bit about how this was going to dovetail. I was thinking about moving TIGHR to the spring, but it turns out Salt Lake City is the year before. It's going to be fine. And of course, solder is every year. So that'll happen in August and will happen at the very end of October. So there's always tough choices to make, but I'm giving you a lot of notice, and I feel so relieved that I can finally tell you this. I hate these kinds of secrets. All right, so let's get going with this TIGHR event. And one of the reasons that we don't talk about the future TIGHR events is because we want to celebrate the one that's happening currently. So we were announced as the next board the last morning of the convention, because you're supposed to be in the moment enjoying the one that's happening right now, not looking forward to the next one. And for that reason, it had to be quite a secret. So let's come over here and let's look at some of the stuff that went. Oh, this is what I wanted to tell you. I put this video out today too. I did a parody kind of version of the famous and historic rug hooking pattern, the 3 Bears. I did it as a Halloween pattern, and I have this on my frame now. I did a video earlier today cutting up a jacket that was, I don't know, about 10 sizes too small, maybe 12 sizes too small, and I cut it up and started hooking with it. So look out for that video if you haven't found it yet. This is a preview of one of the patterns that you have not seen yet from the Haunted Rug Book. Barbara was showing this pattern in our group today on Facebook, Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Club. So maybe you saw it there. But this is one of the pattern. This is the pattern that is on my frame right now. And if you're interested in this pattern, there's a link to it in this video. Also watch the video of me cutting up the coat if you want to work on this pattern too, and you need some ideas. Now, welcome to Niagara Falls, the Canadian side. Absolutely beautiful. Anytime there, we were up on the 22nd floor, so quite high up. And anytime there was a sunny day, there seemed to be a rainbow because this kind of crazy, ecstatic froth coming out of the what looks like the pit of the earth. It's the bottom of the waterfall, right? It's so spectacular. Constantly makes this crazy condensation, this misty fog. And when it's already misty and foggy, you don't get that rainbow. And it's very atmospheric, very sort of London pea soup. But on days when it's sunny, and it was ragingly hot, I have to say, I was very surprised to be so incredibly uncomfortably hot in Canada in October. But that's just life these days, isn't it? So beautiful view from up there. Had a busy time. The first night that we arrived, I met some of my buddies right at that meeting when we first got there, and I met Carrie. Um, there were a couple of people around the edge of the room. Carrie was one of them. Carrie Jackson. She was showing these. Hold on, I'm just taking out my thing. I'm going to switch to a different view. She was showing these textile projects that she does. This is obviously not rug hooking. This is a form of weaving. And she does this by weaving in all of these leftover yarns and things, right? This is a great craft form. It's not a wagon wheel rug. It's not. It's actually a weaving on the wall. It stays on the frame. Wagon wheel rugs are often done with hula hoops. She's actually got metal frames for these, and some of them are frames that she has kind of forged herself, like copper, piping and stuff that she's soldered shut. And some of it, they aren't circles, right? They're like oblong and irregulars. But she creates a system of weaving, and I thought that this was just incredibly great for rug hookers because we do have so much leftover material. And she just wove it in such complicated, but I think easy, right? But different, right? From row to row, she's got different stuff going on. In some cases, she's wrapping. In the center of the one on the right, it looks like she kind of applied a crocheted circle. She's got all kinds of stuff going on. So she's really experimenting with each one. These are called. Oh, let me check what they're called. And look at how she's got colored yarn to string the thing. um, and it's exposed. Sometimes it's exposed. It's not always. Let me just see if I have one more. Yep, it's not always covered completely. So I bought this, and I've got the box right in front of me here. And I'm going to have Carrie on the show. And she's also putting something into the next Magpie Times. So that'll be exciting to help you do this if you would like to. This is Carrie, and she is so super pretty and so super nice. And intuitive circles, that's what these are called. I'm going to show you her card, intuitive circles. So grab that. She is an artist. She is into obviously wellness and design. She considers these very meditative and relaxing to work. So I have this one, right? I got one of the boxes, and she showed me how to string the frame, which is something that she'll show us probably on Magpie and also when we have her live on the show. This is a small, she said, why don't you take one of the gold ones or copper ones? And I said, no, I want to take one of the plain silver rings because I know that you can get these silver rings in craft stores and hardware stores and stuff. The ones that she makes herself, right? I didn't want to experiment with my first intuitive circle on a frame, the circle that you can't get exactly the same thing because then that's disappointing if it doesn't come out the same and you're like, oh, Deanna's looks like, better. Well, I have a silver ring. I took this one because I thought we can all have the same starting point, right? Because this is easy to get set up. And like I said, she's going to show us how she strings this. She did this in about 1 minute. And the kit also comes with all these different yarns. So you can see lots of different weights, chenille, boucle, some of these color changing cakes that are just from like Joann's or Michael's, the soft baby's yarn, the velvet yarn, thick wool, right? Nubby wool, all kinds of different materials. So it just comes down to what kind of color palette you want. So I was very excited about this. And I'm very excited she's working on the Magpie article for the upcoming Magpie Times, right, which will be the winter issue, the Marshmallow World. And then I'll be in touch with her as soon as she's ready to talk about doing a show together, possibly teaching through ribbon candy hooking. But this is a lot of fun. And once you know how to string this yourself and you've got all your own materials that you can weave with, right, you can do also infinite variations and variety with yours, different sizes, right, all this. So she'll be the person to tell us. It was a really fun thing meeting her on that first night. I got very excited about the infinite. That's not what she said. Intuitive circles. There we go. Intuitive circles. Now wait a minute. Did I? Yep. This is a view in the morning, right? Or maybe it was at sunset. No, it must have been in the morning. So pretty. I was trying to keep track of the temperature, the weather, all of that stuff, what was happening, without being obnoxious in the, you bringing me some water? Oh, thank you. You know, what was happening at the convention itself, because I wanted to record as much as I could to show you, to put on the channel without being ridiculous, you know, because there were 379 other people there, actually 383 other people there. I did get into the rug show. It was there for, I think, at least 3 of the days consecutively. And on the third day, the rug show was open to the public, non-TIGHR members, right? Because TIGHR membership also closes at a certain point. Now, that's something that could change if the current board, if we decide to change that, we'll figure it out as the thing takes shape. But historically, the membership has to close at a certain point. And I'm not sure why. So that will be something that I try to make a good decision about. A lot of people found out that there was a TIGHR convention once the membership, the option of becoming a member had already ended. And I know I was listening through the grapevine, unable to say too much, but I heard a lot of people kind of saying here and there and on Facebook and stuff that they were disappointed that they couldn't join TIGHR, that the window for joining had closed. So for people who are not TIGHR members, they were able to come to see the rug show if they're local, right? Why not? That's how I got to see Goretti. Goretti came to visit. Oh, I think she took a picture of us. She hasn't sent it to me yet. But she came to visit, and she looked at the rug show. She brought a buddy with her, and I got to spend some time with her there. She's normally on. She might be on right now, but she's normally on. Goretti and Mike, you know. And so they came, and a bunch of other people came who were local and wanted to see the rugs on that day. So you're seeing this. I'm just walking up to the beginning of the rug show here. So we're seeing a stunning, enormous Oriental rug. And you're seeing on the toward the left, we're seeing another very, very pretty gray background, very pretty floral rug, maybe some butterflies and things in there. And on top, Colleen's rug, right? The Sea is Calling, Colleen Tiefenthal, Beech Nut Studio. So great variety. Most of the panels of rugs had a theme. For example, this was like the indigenous wall. And this referred to, I think her name was, okay, wait a minute. Oh, Waddle, Susan and Waddington. It's on the tip of my tongue. Susan and Waddington. They're an older couple, and they are Canadian, and they are wild about nature, adventures, exploring, and the group of 7, right? The group of Canadian painters. If you took the group of 7 class with me, you know all about the group of 7, right? We did really full, detailed, in-depth class, deep dive into the work of the group of 7 famous Canadian artists at the turn of the 20th century. And if you didn't take that class and you are interested in the group of 7, it's there as a product in the Ribbon Candy Hooking store. It'll always be there. So you could watch it if you're coming later. Thank you, Sue and Jim Waddington. Carol, thank you. Carol, hey. It was a wonderful moment at Carol, did you know? I'm just wondering. It was great spending time with you, by the way. I didn't get enough time or hugs with you at all. It was very busy. It was a busy group of days, wasn't it? It was absolutely jam-packed. So this wall represents mostly in the pillows, Sue Waddington's hooking, because there was a talk where she and Jim talked about their adventures over the years through Canada, searching for, right, in search of some of the exact views where group of 7 paintings were painted. In other words, where the artist was standing when famous paintings were painted. And they found a bunch of them. It was one of those, oh, the presentation was just incredible. It happened over one of the lunches. And it was just incredible because, I mean, there were some like, I mean, I always get choked up with everything. It's like a problem. But there were some moments of like, and then we turned a corner and that's where was sitting and oh, and it was like, oh, and they were showing all of these pictures that went along with places that they found, and then the actual painting by an artist, one of the group of 7 artists, and going, oh my God, that is absolutely the right view. You found it. You know, there were so many stories like this. This is like what they do for a hobby. And she hooks a lot of the views paintings that you're seeing. So these pillows, I think, are all Sue's, and they are based on paintings by the 7 artists who collectively are known as the Group of 7 Canadian artists. And again, this is a Design Light class on ribbon candy hooking, and it is something that you can order and it downloads right away. So it's great conversation about these artists, their work, what makes the look of their work iconic, and certainly for Canadians, what a great source of pride being able to call this group of artists like part of your national heritage, part of your story. It must evoke a lot of patriotism. There were other themes in here, other rugs, but this whole wall sort of had that indigenous hat tip to the indigenous people theme. So most of these displays were themed in some way, even if it was just sort of color. I'm flashing you through stuff pretty quickly because I have a lot of stuff to flash, right? Um, that didn't sound right, but you know what I mean. So absolutely gorgeous looking at these, particularly after that slideshow. And also it helps when you know the work of the group of 7 because you go, ah, I absolutely know this view. The group of 7 tended to paint the same views and within the same area, adventuring out from around Toronto and making their way further and further into the woods on sort of group trips and weekend trips, and finding these incredible views, pictures over lakes, trees growing out of rocks, crazy skies, and several of the group of 7 got involved in sort of more sort of fad styles like Cubism, like Expressionism, these kind of deviating from, none of this is really realism. Once in a while, you see one that really is realism. The group of 7 members, of course, some were older, some were younger. The older ones tended to paint in the style of Impressionism, bordering more on realism, right? Because of their age, and that's what they grew up with, and that was their personal aesthetic, and that's how they learned. And some of the younger members were more experimental with painting styles that were coming and going. Um, Different color choices and substitutions, and yeah, just the next sort of era of art, and all of that is represented in these pillows. So it really was an amazing exhibit. Oh, hey, good morning, Gail. Yeah, they are so beautiful. And again, you just Google the group of 7 and you're going to see a lot of the. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I think hang on. This is definitely more of an abstract. I don't know how I did that. I was trying to show you this pretty pillow. Kind of slipped. So, yeah, and this one too, sort of extreme cubism. But you can see there is a landscape here. We are seeing mountains reflected in water and a little outcropping of rock. That's where the footing is, where you'd be standing as the painter. You'd see a little outcropping. So while it is wildly pixelated, and definitely in the cubist style, at least, if not cubist, it is abstracted for sure. But you can still tell that it's a landscape. Really interesting work, very transferable to hooking. And remember, everything before 1928 is in the public domain. So you're able, when you look through pieces, to say, oh, am I going to get in trouble if I use this piece? Well, just look at the year of it. If it's 1928 or earlier, you can hook it. You can hook it without any permission at all. And for the most part, most of these, some of the group of 7 paintings hit like the mid 1930s and late 1930s, but most of them are a little bit earlier. So you can really dig in if you like that catalog of work. I'm kind of flashing through panels because I have a lot I want to show you, and it's still busy times for me. We have a lot of catching up to do, but I just want to walk you through some of the panels that I was looking at as I went. And yeah, this is Colleen's on the top here. really, really beautiful arrangements. I saw the exhibit walls, right? I saw when we were arriving, Rebecca and I drove up that morning from, New Haven, Connecticut to Buffalo, which was about maybe 6 hours, something like that. I mean, I had to stop 20 times because I kept drinking coffee and then having to go to the bathroom. So, I mean, I made a stupid amount of stops, but I did make it to the airport in Buffalo to pick her up. I forget what time I was supposed to pick her up, but I was there like uh, right on time. I mean, she was coming out of the door and I was pulling up on the side without having to park. So it went really, really well. But then we pulled up to the hotel and I was kind of in the car waiting to figure out where our room was and where I was supposed to park. Because at that point, I was starting to feel like I'd had it a little bit, and I didn't want to get like too tired, because the party was about to happen of us all coming together for the first time. And as I was sitting in the car waiting for her to come back out and give me some more directions, I saw a bunch of people walking in with rugs rolled up under their arms. And hey, here's some of these rugs, right? I mean, I didn't realize it at the time. I thought, oh, I wonder if people are bringing in their projects that they're working on. Because there was like a hooking area where you could, if you weren't taking classes, you could just sit and hook. It'll be the same for us in Newport. We're going to have an area with a sort of nautical themed in Newport, but it's going to be called the Hooking Harbor, where there will be rooms that are designated for you if you don't want to take classes and you just want to meet your friends there and walk around Newport and shop and visit historic houses. And you're like, I'm not really a sitting in a classroom person. There will be an area, as there was at this TIGHR, but for us it'll be called the Hooking Harbor, where you can just sit with friends all day and all night and hook. So that's another option, and a lot of people were bringing in rugs for that. But a lot of people were bringing in rugs for the friendship mat exchange and also for the exhibit walls. So pretty stuff like this. I didn't take pictures of everything, and I'm not even going to say I took pictures of all my favorite things. It was just I was taking pictures and I was trying to stay out of people's way, and I took a much more comprehensive video. If you haven't seen that, you might want to check that out. It was a longish video walking through the exhibit, and I bumped into Susan Sutherland, who is one of the current board, who put this event on during the course of the video. So that was lucky because we got a quick chat with her there. One of the things about the work that I saw at TIGHR was that, I'm not going to say that like AFA isn't super experimental, because it is, or that the work you see at Sauder isn't super experimental, because it is. I felt like the work at TIGHR, even more so, there were very few pieces that were what I would call traditional. Very, very different. And I think that the reason for that is because we're talking about the work of people from so many different places, right? Not just the US and Canada. And for that reason, I think we see styles and traditions like this is Prati, but you can see the sort of fluff and semi-fringing around the edge, very, very different. This is a hooked piece with a substantial amount of Prati. These long, skinny Prati pieces, this is a tray that I own. It's one of many Prati pieces that the Old Tattered Flag put out to go with the Sizzix machine, right? Um, or maybe those were hand cut and they were just a similar shape. Stuff like this, really unusual, beautiful seasonal piece. All of the, every time, why can't I remember this word? I am usually really good with stuff like this. Come on. What are these parts? Ugh, I can't believe I'm saying this again. What are the parts of the damn pumpkin called again? Again? All different colors in any case. Bone spines. Um, oh, sorry. Quilly. There's tons of quillies embedded in the hooking of this piece, right? All those circles that look like little cinnamon buns, those are little quillies that are rolled up, sewn onto the backing, right? They're sewn on. It's with a needle and thread. These are not hooked. No, Linda, the pieces of the pumpkin. Right? I've said this, and every time I see them, and somebody always supplies the word, and I go, I can't believe I forgot that. So beautiful, though. You can see very different approach here. Ribs, yes, ribs. Thank you, Catherine. Yes, definitely ribs. See, I said spine. I got closer this time, but no, definitely ribs. Different colors, different materials, a little bit of chenille, little bit of wool, little bit of shinies, little bit of velvet. Lots of fun, lots of fun. I got to see Diane, also Tobias Collins from Velvet Hook. That was great meeting her as well. So many people I was meeting for the first time. But you can see such a variety of materials here. And besides the quilly, you can see there's kind of a circle, a decorative circle of single loops hooked around the quilly. Interesting, isn't it? It gives such a good effect. I haven't seen this before. Maybe this has been done before, but I haven't seen it. Little polka dots around. You could squeeze those in, even if you've already hooked your piece, you could still squeeze in some little skinny loops like that around the edges. Really, really different. Um, Sunflowers, more proddy, right? And then the use of applique in the center of the sunflowers. Look at the color change that's happening. Isn't it extraordinary? All of these different styles, wild and woolly. This might be the same as the lion, the person who did it, because I'm looking at the edge again and that wildness around the edge. I like that untidy looking edge. One of the things about rug hooking that always kind of gets me is that the edges are so clean. You know, it's such a thick, dense textile once you finished hooking, but the edges are so clean, like a photograph, right? Just like raw and exposed. A little bit of texture like this really reinforces the idea in your mind as you see it that this is a textile through and through. Really unusual pieces. So I kind of cruised through, and that's the board again. I kind of cruised through oh, this is the top one with another nice variety of techniques. We've got some whipped cording, so some cords that are sort of knotted in a Japanese style down on the bottom right. You can see that's called frogging when you make that kind of knot that fits inside that loop. That's called well, I think it's called a frog. I know when it has the triple loop, it's called a frog. But certainly those cords are wound and sewn on. So a lot of this is done with a needle and thread. We've got some standing wool that's standing more like an accordion, not standing on its side, right? We're seeing the spines of the wool. We're seeing the loop sides of the wool. Those would not be hooked. Those would be sewn down for sure. They're just too thick. So lots of different materials. Don't you love the yellow, right? The way that the yellow looks a little bit thinner. It could be that it's t-shirt material, something like that. How it's thick and then it's thin and thick and thin. This is why I love hooking with scissors. That's what I did in the video this afternoon of the Three Bears Halloween. I was cutting up the jacket with a pair of scissors. I love the variety when you do that. It's not all uniform. It's not like a standardized size or height. For people who are very technical, they're like, no way. I really want my loops to be very, very even. If you know that, you have to go with that because you and you know what makes you happy. There's no point in spending money and time on something that you don't like the effect, right? So you have to do it the way that you like it. But this piece in itself gives great permission to everybody, I think, that you can use any materials, any way, any width, any height, anything you want, right? Anything you want, you got it. This one I had a hard time taking a photo of because there was people looking all the time, and I kind of snuck in between two panels, and I caught it from the side. It's obviously a hummingbird, and it's just gorgeous. But you can see the kind of explosion of color and detail, light and shade and shadow. It's just magical and colorful. And at the end of the day, this is a composition of a hummingbird with some flowers in the background. Now, if you drew this out, you might say to yourself, I was thinking of the Talking Heads song. Sorry. You might say, "Oh, that's a really simple composition. I'm not sure that there's going to be enough there to keep this interesting." Well, you would be wrong, right? Because once you get in there and you start layering in color and shadows and light and variety, different materials, right? You realize that you are building, 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 and pretty soon a composition that is fairly straightforward in terms of lines is suddenly a showstopper. I love the way that the little hummingbird's beak is hitting the edge of the painting, right? It's like the whole story. It has a bit of a clockwork feel to it for me. If it was in different colors, I'd say even a little steampunky, but no. The colors are warm and bright and sunny and very, very cheerful, kind of the opposite. Really different piece, very unusual. Every piece that was there, honestly, was different and fabulous. This one is, it's incredible, Gail, right? This one is no exception. So we are seeing some sort of Waldeboro or three-dimensional quality hooking of the three sheep peeking out from behind the wall. And the moss in between the stones, the brick wall or the stone wall. It looks like the purple in the distance, right? Absolutely gorgeous. Sorry, quick yawn. Gosh, I'm just beat, I'll tell you. But this is fun. I'm not suffering. I'm just tired. I'm just going to have a quick sip. It's just gorgeous. Um, so much texture, so many different techniques. That's one of the things that really caught my attention was again, we weren't seeing very many what I would call very traditional rugs. Now, I'm not saying I don't like very traditional rugs. I love traditional rugs. I just extra love it when there is a good balance and a fair representation of both where rug hooking came from and those hat tip pieces that are, either very technical, right, very sort of Pearl McGowan style, or alternately primitive style. Where rug hooking came from, that has to be represented. I would be bereft if it wasn't represented. But I feel we also have to represent where rug making is at right now and where it's headed. And many of these pieces, oh, Lena, great to see you, are that moment, right? And this is certainly one of them. This is what looks like a kind of tree of life. And it is made up of, I think, either Dorset or Yorkshire. Trying to remember which buttons these were. They might be Yorkshire buttons. I know there was a class on Dorset buttons, and Rebecca took that class, but I think maybe it's a mix. I'm seeing one that certainly looks like a Dorset button. But in any case, there's lots of different kinds of covers that you can put on a button, still yarn, right? Different weights of yarn. And then you can do loop-de-loops or knot or fringe or whatever, and you get this kind of variety. It is a flowering tree, uh, absolutely stunning. And the hooking, also stunning. Very different, right? Really different. April says, this tree, I'm absolutely in love with this piece. It is so pretty. And this is approachable. Again, simple composition with the tree. Once you get going on learning how to do the Yorkshire buttons and the Dorset buttons, you will be in good shape to start collecting buttons as you make them. Talk about manageable, right? Sitting in front of the TV. If you're watching your shows, last night I was catching up on Only Murders in the Building. I was behind. And I was working on orders at the time, but if I didn't have orders, I could be working on hooking or a little project like this where I've got a bowl and I'm just doing my buttons and I'm putting the buttons into the bowl and I am saving them for a rainy day until I have a vision for what I mean to do with the buttons next. What a great manageable project. No matter where you are, whether you're on vacation or in a hotel or you're beached out on the couch, super, super fun. So April, I haven't done Dorset buttons yet, but if you Google it or look on YouTube, I know I've posted in our group before tutorials on making a Dorset button. So I know that they're out there. I know I've posted them, and I know I've posted some still shots because it's almost like a little woven web that you weave string by string, almost like what I was showing you of Carrie Jackson's, right? It has like a skeletal structure that's like a little web, and then you're kind of weaving in these tiny threads, strings, floss, whatever you choose, in between the woven branches, ribs, cobwebs, whatever you would call the spokes, right? The spokes. And then at the end, you're pulling the edges of the button, like gathering them like a yo-yo, if you're a quilter, and it closes over the button, right? So you're like making a little cover for the button. And you're basically weaving a cover for the button. It's if I'm making it sound complicated, it doesn't appear to be complicated. It just appears to be fiddly. That's all. Remember, there's also larger buttons out there these days, and there's blanks, like just the metal blanks, right, that are quite large sometimes. Imagine if you had a nice variety of buttons, some big, some small, whatever, and you could do different sizes, right, of different levels of elaborateness. What a great thing. Some of them had little beads in the center. God, so good, so good. Very inspiring. And then there were beautiful pieces like this Grenfell rug that actually belonged to Yvonne Eiten Scott, right? She is the current president, so she's been the president, and I'm taking over her role. She has a lovely collection of stuff, including this beautiful puffin. This is an original Grenfell rug. So what a great opportunity, and how generous of her to bring this and have it on display. Not everybody has seen a Grenfell rug in person, right? So these would have been the rugs that were hooked at the end of the 19th century, early 20th century with pantyhose, right? Shout out to rich people. Send us your dirty pantyhose. We really need them, right? We're trying to make some money up here. Beautiful, beautiful results using hose, nylon, to hook. Very, very, very fine. So again, some of the old, some of the new, and this is a showstopper, I know. Uh, Another beautiful piece. This looks like maybe a female cardinal. Uh, God, I just love this composition. The colors in this are crazy. There's just something magical about the purples with the yellows with the light blue and all of the browns, all those pretty neutrals, but then those warm colors. Like for me, it wouldn't be the same piece if that cardinal was the boy cardinal and he was bright red and he was like, "Oh, look at me and my red feathers. Aren't I super fancy?" I love that it's the female cardinal because she's pretty plain, isn't she? She's pretty, yeah, I don't want to say ordinary, but she's not a fancy pants, right? She doesn't have crazy colors going on. She's very sort of innocuous, and she's beautiful in her own right. But she goes so well with this, with her little glimmers of a little bit of red, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of gray, right? The little bits and pieces of her that are really sparkly show up perfectly against this sky with lots of movement, right? It's a lot of white, if you notice, but lots of movement in there. Lots of pinks, lots of blues, lots of yellows, a little bit of purple, cornflowers, mustard colors, copper colors. Oh God! And then we get to that box, the Naples like fruit box or whatever it is. It looks like maybe there's grapes or berries in there, and they're three-dimensional, if I remember right, or else they're hooked quite high. Um, Again, looking at these pieces, great examples of permission to do something different, right? There were, in my mind, very few pieces that didn't have some kind of proddy, three-dimensional stuff, bling, um, different texture, different techniques, right? And I thought, how interesting, because I'm coming to TIGHR for the first time, right? I was a member. I came in somewhere in there. I somehow became the president. I don't, honestly, I still don't know how that happened, but I'm coming to this pretty new. And it was a good experience for me to go to the event because I realized that the rugs that people were choosing of their own to display were rugs that were quite different, right? Quite different. And that seemed to be the unspoken vibe, was like the rugs that were blingy and different and using different techniques, a little more on the wild and crazy side. That's what was expected. That's what showed up, right? Build it and they will come. So people already knew that TIGHR was a place where you would bring your rugs that in other places might be like, ooh, that's a lot, you know. I always think back to one of my first. I wonder why my green screen is not very pronounced, is it? Isn't that weird? Because I have like this light X-raying my face. You would think this would be really bright. Sorry, I don't know why it's not. Um, I think back to one of the first experiences I had when I started rug hooking. It must have been right before COVID, right? Right in that window, maybe a year before tops. And I went to this library. I forget where it was. Reading, Connecticut. Okay, I remember it. I probably shouldn't have said that, but it was there, and it was a great group, and I loved meeting a bunch of buddies. Leslie of the Corks, right? There was lots of buddies who I met there who I stayed friends with, and it was a great experience. But I remember that I was sitting near, and I didn't know anybody. I was there by myself. I was sitting near a couple of girls who were together, and one of them had on her frame a rug like I had not seen yet. It was crazy. Lots of different heights, lots of texture, wild and crazy, just super boho, nutty nuts. And it wasn't an abstract, right? It was a garden or something, but there was lots of height, and it was very lush. It was very different. And she walked away from her frame, and another lady came by, an older lady came by, and somebody said to her, like, I'm going to use a name as a placeholder because I do remember her name. It was that upsetting. I'm going to say, like, hi, Iris, did you see Jane's work? Isn't it something? And the older lady, who I'm calling here Iris, bears no resemblance to the actual name. That's why I chose it. She was like, oh, well, it is something. And when she said it, the girl came back. Like, I'm using Jane. She came back and she heard that. And I thought, whoa, like what just happened? I was not used to this yet, right? I'm more used to it now, but I was not used to it yet. And I thought, wow. And in my mind, I was trying to calibrate. Why did that lady not think that that was good? Because of all of the work on everyone's frames, to me, that was the most artistic by a landslide. And I thought, why did she think that that was bad? And I think about that often because as time goes on, I think about the teaching, right? The very specific teaching. and the kind of, in some cases, not in every case, right, but the kind of control that has been layered onto the craft and the intended look, right, the intended end product historically, at least through the middle of the 20th century, that was the goal of this craft. And I thought that older woman was a product of that conversation, that school of teaching. She's looking at something that's brand new, and she doesn't like it. Right? But she has no comfort level, no comfort zone. This is completely out of her comfort zone. But it was upsetting. It wasn't a nice exchange, and I think about that a lot, right? Because I'm right there at the crossroads, always wanting to honor what came before and to keep it going. I never want to see Pearl McGowan stuff fall by the wayside. I never want that not to be the name, the queen of rug cooking. I always want her to have that place and hold that place forever. She made this craft what it is. At the same time, I want people to be able to work in the style that they want to work in without people looking at it and going, oh, that really is something, you know, please. So at TIGHR, at least, it seemed like it was absolutely okay to hook in whatever style you want, and people really enjoyed. The more experimentation there was, people were the most interested in those pieces, and that made me feel very hopeful for the future. Because why do you have to choose, right? Why is it always, to quote Stephen Sondheim, less or more, either plain or grand? Is it always or? Is it never and? It has to be and, right? We have to represent both. Um, and certainly at TIGHR, both were represented. So while this has the feel of being a traditional piece, there was a Prouty element to the berries or grapes that are coming out. It was just very, very different, much more graphic than realistic, but certainly an impression, right? If this were a painting, I would absolutely class it as an impressionist style painting. This might be by the same person, I'm not sure, but along those same lines, absolutely beautiful. We are getting some degree of realism in the rusty strap hinge, right? With the little sort of screw or whatever you call that thing coming out a little bit. It's old. Man, that's old. The old and the new, right? Something old that's probably been there forever with this nice old wood, this patina, exaggerated patina. We've got these like blues in there. Isn't that great? The browns and coppers with all of those blues and those yellow and kind of sunflower yellow little sprigs coming up, and then something living, something new. It's the crow or the raven or the magpie, whoever this is, little blackbird. And there he is, and he's singing a song. And yeah, right against this beautiful old vignette of this beautiful old strap. I mean, absolutely gorgeous piece. You're seeing texture, you're seeing color substitutions, you're seeing some degree of realism, but you are also seeing a lot of liberties being taken. And that's what makes it exciting, isn't it? Absolutely beautiful. This is another one that was really exciting and beautiful. Unzip the Beauty. I'm going to bring you closer into this, and I think you can see it much, much bigger than I'm seeing it. This is a bouquet inside of a zipper. So you see that squiggly line? I'm going to bring you in closer, but that is a zipper. That's a zipper. Isn't that crazy? I'm going to expand on that in just a minute. And on the outside of the zipper, so the bouquet is hooked, right? And then on the outside, it's quilly, right? You see all of those rounds. Those are just quilly rounds. That's not necessarily standing wool. It's specifically quilly because they're all round. What a great idea. We've got a composition that is made up of a bottom border with text and a zipper, which really is the bling and the prestige of the piece, and then two distinctly different compartments. Let's look at it just a little bit closer up. So here we are. Now, hold on one second. I'm going to sip and hold on. I'm going to make my brain think. Let me think for just a second. I'm such a jerk. I'm thinking, okay, wait a minute. I was almost there. Oh, hold on. I'm trying to think of a name, so you can't help me here. Winnie Glavin. Winnie Glavin. There we go. Oh my God, how did I do that? Okay, so there was one evening, right, taking you through the conference as it was. There was one evening where at like 7 o'clock or something like that, there was something that was called gosh, lightning lessons. That's what it was, lightning lessons. And we didn't really know what it was going into it, but we took seats like in the big conference room. This will be set up differently in Newport, so I won't go into detail about how it's set up. But we were based in one room, and there was a stage, right? And so the idea was maybe 8 or 10 different people got up who are like well-known rug hookers and teachers, and said a tip, and for 10 minutes told you how to do that tip. So, for example, Chris McDermott got up, right, famous for her braiding, and she was talking about using LED lights in her pieces because she does a lot with kind of shadow box, like layers of interest, right? Like not flat work, but three dimensional, and some of it is backlit and intentionally lit. And she does a lot of that. It's like it's a gimmick. It's manageable. It's something that you could do, but you have to know how. So her 10 minutes were about that. Um, there were 10-minute lessons on quite a few different things. One of them was very computer based. This is how you use this program. This is going to be really helpful. I'll show you how to do it on the screen. So it was like a bunch of speakers back to back, and then papers that you could take afterward to remind yourself how to do it because it came at you like lightning. Now Winnie, she did um, using zippers in your rug hooking, and she got up and she told us how she took the zipper apart and kept the teeth together, and how she sews the fabric part that holds the teeth of the zipper onto the backing, right? And then she would cut it, right? Because she said she would even keep a piece of a zipper. This is so specific. I'm sorry, but I bet you're following this. Um, she would even keep a piece of a zipper with like 2 or 3 teeth, like tiny amount, because she said you never know when you're going to wish that you had that. So she keeps all of her zippers, right? Different heights, different colors in case the fabric part is showing. But she showed us on the big screen how she attached it to the backing, and then she hooks around it, and it makes it stand right up with the teeth right at the surface. And this is what it looks like. So this is 2 rows of teeth, right? So you're seeing 2 rows on both sides, and you're seeing the bottom of the zipper at the bottom. And sometimes she does 1 row, and it literally looks like a little silver line of beading. And to look at the piece, you'd go, what's that? And it's a zipper, right? So interesting, and also so generous for people to be sharing, like Sharon said a few minutes ago, like so inventive, right? It's so creative and inventive, and to have people saying, "Oh, well, I figured this out, and I'm going to show it to you now," was absolutely amazing. Um, yeah, so I'm just walking you through some of these pieces still. We're walking through the exhibit together. Um, I'm not going to blow them all up. And I know on the screen you can pause and look at the names later if you want. But these were all things that were hung up. Absolutely beautiful. Uh, in terms of information, they had the name of the piece and the artist who did it, like the person who hooked it. In no cases was, for example, the teacher or the maker of the pattern, right? If it was like a commercial pattern, in no cases were those things given. It was, what is the piece called and who hooked it? Now, we don't need to get into a side conversation about this, and some people I'm sure liked it and some people didn't. To be honest, I quite liked it. I quite liked it. And even as a person with a rug hooking company, this is going to sound awful, and I hope this is not insulting, but I quite liked the emphasis on the hooker, as opposed to, in some shows you see the teacher first or the name of the pattern first. Now, hey, even if you get, and maybe the name of the pattern should be there, or the company, so you could get the pattern if you wanted it, but there was a real emphasis on the way that this version that you were looking at was hooked. And, you get a commercial pattern, you hook it your way, it's not going to look like the next person anyway, right? So I heard people saying yay and nay to that, the tags on the show, that in some cases they were commercial patterns and people wanted to know whose they were. Honestly, for me, it really didn't bother me. I was looking at each piece and standing in front of it as if I was at any other gallery show and thinking, I am looking at what I'm looking at now. This is the name of the person who made it. I like it. I don't like it. There wasn't a lot that I didn't like, but I approached it that way. So if you're looking at the tags later, I mention that because if you're thinking, I recognize that pattern, who is it? It's not going to be there. Here she is, Betty Ann Cormier. So she was there with her Chetty Camp frame. Man, I just love her so much. She is keeping Chetty Camp alive. Chetty Camp. She really is. She's teaching it. She's doing it. She's talking about it. She's keeping the craft alive. Her husband was there whittling little, and I have a big video of this, so you'll meet him in the video and watch him whittling some of the tiny, tiny hooks. She's holding the hook in her hand. It's tiny. It's teeny, teeny, tiny. I showed you one the other day because I happen to have one in my thing here. Diane, you adore Betty Ann too. She is just a love. She's such a love. She's such a positive, happy, sweet, open, loving person. I just adored being near her. Um, I spent quite a bit of time with her recording the video and visiting with her. Um, I'm very proud of the video that we did. There was a lot of background noise. There's nothing I could do about that. There's 380 people there. I was trying to catch her at a time when it was the quietest. I want to show you what I got from her. Yeah, let me show you some of this stuff. So she is offering a class, and I put this in the video in September. I am seriously thinking about going. It's a time thing with me always, because it's a full week class in studying Chetty Camp in person in Nova Scotia. So the course is called Charm C.H.A.R.M.E. So it's in the video that I posted, but also if you, I'm seeing if I had the brochure here. I think the brochure is somewhere, but I'm sorry I didn't think of that soon enough. I'm going to hold up her card, or if you Google her, and then you write the word charm with an E at the end, the class is going to come up. It is a 7-day class. Meals are included. It is an intense Chetty Camp class. I'm really, really tempted. The only reason I'm holding out is because I'm thinking about the kids and how they would be at school and they would need me to drive them. So it's hard. It's hard. Anyway, she had a bunch of Chetty Camp yarn there. And this is a color, get ready for this, that she dyed specifically, right? It's different values of the same color. I asked her if this was 2-ply Briggs & Little. She said, no, it's even thinner. So I think it might be Briggs & Little, but I think it's even thinner than the 2-ply. This is a color that she dyed specifically for the TIGHR convention, and it's called not Tiger Lily, but Tigger Lily. You see? So I just loved these oranges. I got that. I didn't put it into this slideshow. I wish that I had. Let me see if I can find it on my phone. I really want to show you this. I picked out this color set, and I picked out these color sets. Right, so these are like mixies, kind of like antique golds, and then these are kind of like bluey greens. So together they look like this, right, kind of thing. So unusual color set. Now these are super, super thin. I don't plan to do Chetty Camp with these, but I want to show you what we figured out. Hold on, let me come over here. I'm trying to give credit. Was it Goretti? It might have been Goretti. Was it Goretti? Was it Rebecca? I think it was Goretti. I was sitting on the floor looking at a big trunk of balls of Chetty Camp that Betty Ann had there for sale, because I'd already gotten these 3 packets like the day before. And while I was sitting on the floor, I'm pretty sure it was Goretti. She said, "What? Here it is." This is me sitting on the floor at the trunk. And Goretti said, I was trying to choose colors, and she said, "What are you making a picture of?" And I said, "I don't know. I picked the colors that I really liked, and I have to think about it." And she said, "Why don't you do the carpet that you're sitting on, because it's exactly the same colors," right? It was absolutely exactly the same colors, like the teals, the paprikas, the Tigger lily, the golds. So I thought, oh my God, I'm totally doing that. I'm going to do like some kind of an abstract using my yarn. And then I just bought 4 more of the oranges, another kind of green gold, that the green screen is going to play that. But the other colors that were in it, that I don't know why that's doing that, because this is yellow. But yeah, I thought, what a great idea. It might be that I do like a central motif. I'll have to see. I'm not doing a waterfall, but for no reason other than I want it to be like the carpet, so I have to think on that. I'm going to think on that. But I also bought, while I was with Betty Ann, I haven't opened this. I was waiting until we were together. keep my eye on the time too. I bought one of her little series of the Four Seasons little coasters because she was selling some rugs that she made, Chetty Camp style. I think someone else made them, but still. So we have got summer, and it's a tiny little coaster. I'm gonna have these framed together like in a shadow box, and right, Chetty Camp stitches, tiny, tiny little stitches. Summer, winter, autumn. Sorry, there's a little bit of bleed there. That's confusing. And spring. How precious is that? So, so, so precious. And you know, if you're wondering like how much is this stuff, and do you want to shop with her? Do you want to look her up and shop with her? You totally do, because these were. It's hard to say what the difference. Obviously the dollar was very strong, the American dollar. I think these were like, I want to say 20 something each. I think they were under 20 American dollars each. I felt like I was robbing her. So I got that yarn too, but it really wasn't a lot at all to get these. I was amazed. I'm so happy with them. And I wish I would have bought like some of her really large, well, she doesn't do really large pieces, but quite a bit larger. So next time. And I am seriously thinking about taking that class. Because it's not exactly my style. It's not what I do best. It's not what I'm the most interested in, but it is like such an important moment in the history of rug hooking that it's like I would so love to be there and to absorb it. You know, when you like read a great book or watch a movie and you just wish that you could live in that moment. That's how I feel about Chetty Camp and the whole history of rug hooking. So it would be such an experience to be there for a full week and to be completely immersed in this one way to hook. Um, it would be an experience, right? That's the best way to say it. Mm. It just occurred to me that I forgot to show you something I should have showed you first. And I am going to keep my eye on the time because tomorrow I'm speaking at the Chapter Number 1 Guild, the Nutmegs in Hartford, Connecticut, actually Meriden, and yeah. So I have a little bit more work to do before. So I'll probably stay on for another 20 minutes, something like that. But I have to show you this swag bag, right? So if you're coming to the Haunted Rug, I just want to remind you, the membership for TIGHR and the event itself costs several $100s separately, respectively, to do, right? So this is not the same scale of swag bag, right? But this is an incredible swag bag by all accounts. It is an enormous rug bag, right? It holds your rug, almost like a yoga mat. These 380 of these, 80 something of these were made by T. Seymour, right? Who's on the current board and one of my good friends. She sewed these, right? And it does have like, it's been printed. She sewed them. They have like grommets. They have a drawstring with a toggle, right? A cable toggle and a tag, right? That you can open. Right? Look at all of this, right? She made these. She sewed these for every person. It's got the strap on it. So if you're bringing your rug somewhere, you know, I mean, how crazy is that? I'm like, you sewed them, right? They're also like heavyweight canvas. Crazy. She's sewing is like her main thing, right? So she's like, oh yeah, no problem. I just sewed them over the course of time. Wow. Holy mackerel. This is such a gift. And it is stuffed with stuff. I want to show you what's in the swag bag. This is the craziest swag bag. It's like a Christmas stocking. I'm just going to dump it out here. And I don't want to drop anything. I want to show you the stuff that's in here. It's bonkers. All of this is in the swag bag. Hold on. I don't want to drop any of it. You're going to say, this is crazy. And it is crazy. Now, a lot of this stuff is stuff that was given or donated or advertising or whatever, right? Hold on. I don't want to accidentally shut our thing off. All right. Wait a minute. Ho ho. Yep. There's more. Wait a minute. I'm going to put it all in the bag as we look at it. Oh, yeah. It's crazy. All right, let's see. Okay, so there's little advertisements and stuff like that. Yeah, there's cute little advertisements. Ooh. Oh, yeah, this is a bookmark from the Waddingtons, from Sue Waddington. Paintings, photos, pillows, and rugs. Our hobby involves searching. Remember the pillows we saw, the group of 7 at the beginning of the episode? Our hobby involves searching for the locations chosen by Canada's best known landscape painters. In turn, their artwork inspired my rugs and pillows. We have written a book of photographs of the painting sites. So those are not hooked rugs, those are photographs. And it's called In the Footsteps of the Group of 7. And a video about our adventure is on YouTube. Okay, so listen, on YouTube, look up if you're interested in Sue and Jim Waddington's trekking through Canada, looking for the sites of the Group of 7. The video is called Hidden Secrets of the Canvas. All right. I'll just hold this here just in case. I didn't even see that before. And moth, but that's not a clothing moth, but it's still going to make me angry. Our delicious studio oat cake. So that's a Dion Fitzpatrick bookmark. She did not come, if you were wondering. She did not. And I'm going to show you some of the little stuff first. Little Canada pin that a lot of people had on their level, what is that? Lanyard, their lanyard thing. So little metal enamel pin. Nice little skein of yarn, right? And this is from the Woolly Mason jar. Pretty little blue and white skein. And that, 380 of these, that's a lot. And a drink cup that says TIGHR 30, because it was the 30th TIGHR. It's no, it's not the 30th TIGHR, it's the 30th year of TIGHR. So there's been 10 TIGHRs because it's a triennial. And a pretty note card. Okay, Dion Fitzpatrick. So there's like a pretty note card from her, right? The gifts are going to get crazy, I'm telling you. I'm showing you some of the little stuff first. Now here's something crazy. It is a hooked coaster or trivet. Are you thinking, do you mean that it's hand hooked? Yes. I mean it's hand hooked. And is your next thought, so were there almost 400 of those hand hooked? Yes, they were, and they're all different. So the International Guild of Hand Hooking Rug Makers, Niagara Falls, Canada 2024. And it is, I got this one. Everybody got one that was different. It's a it's a hand hooked trivet, right? And it's glued onto a coaster. Right? I'm going to display it, but everybody's was different, right? I really liked mine too. This is like nice and neutral. I really liked this. But yes, people hooked almost 400 of these and finished them off to put into our bags. This is why I'm saying if you have it in you, your guild wants to work with our board on TIGHR 2027, we would love great stuff like this to put into the swag bags, you know. We will be looking for stuff like this for sure. Everybody got a different one of these too, a scissors holder, right, with a little card for your scissors or your hooks. And it's a little pot holder that's been sewn over. Mine has a little wine, they must know me, a little wine feel to it, but everybody got a different one. And it's just a little thing to put your hooks or your scissors in, keep the tips safe. So everybody got one of those. I got a bit of velvet from Diane, right? A pretty colorful, color-changing velvet from Diane at the Velvet Hook. So lots of little samples in here. A little notebook. It says Canada, and it comes with a pen, and it's like a little stuffed sweatshirt. Barbara Lucas Art and Textile, right? Gave these, and they're like little little books to record your thoughts while you're there. I thought, God, this is so incredibly cute, and then the little pen comes out, right? So what a sweet thing to be able to use. This quilly, this is a quilly maker. This is a different kind of quilly maker that has the two nails. Do you see what I mean? So, and it's showing you how to make a quilly. So there's already like a quilly started for you. And with this one, you put the two prongs on the tool into the two prong center, right? And then you're turning it that way. So it actually has a base. It works differently than other quilly makers. So that was super cute. This is from a tool handmade by Wilmot Seniors Woodworking and Craft Center in Baden, Ontario. Helps make standing wool coils, in other words, quillies. So what a great thing, a little senior woodworking group put these together, right, for the swag bag. Absolutely beautiful. Betty Ann Cormier gave a pattern on red dot of the lighthouse, right? So like an original pattern, right? This is one of her classic Chetty Camp patterns, and it actually has the red dot, so you can do the transfer yourself, and talks a little bit about the Acadian village, right, that she's from, and the Chetty Camp frames. But beautiful pattern with the transfer medium there. And let me tie that back up. And I think I'm saving, well, I'm not there yet. I won't tie that up. That's going to take too long. Creativity Club for rug makers. I love hooking outside the lines. So from Robin Whitford, she gave a bunch of rug labels, right? We talked to Robin. I love Robin. It was great spending some time with her. But she put some of the rug labels on in this little packet that you could put on your rugs. You just fill it out and then you put them on. There's a bunch of them in there, which is really great. And there were candies in there too that I already ate. Velvet Oasis. So this was a different velvet brand, and I didn't even finish opening this. I think I was struggling with opening it. It's so well sealed. Let me see if I can do it now. It's slightly different than Diane's velvet, so it's nice to have a different kind. It's in this nice packaging too. I think I'm gonna have to go at it with the scissors. I'm still failing, but super, super pretty. You can see it in there. A nice mushy, oh, look at it, it's like a little, yeah, let me move this over. Oh, I see. It's all wound like a hank. Do you see that? Different strips of velvet. How fun. And this little holographic pouch. So fun. And this is the last thing. This blew my mind. This was in the swag bag. This enormous thing was in the swag bag. And this is Yvonne Eiten Scott, right? So she's the current president, textile artist. She gave this. It is a giant card, and this is called Fun Fibers in Canadian Fall Colors. Look at that. Like, she even had the card printed, this giant card printed with all of these fibers. Look at this. So when I went to some of my classes and stuff, oh, Velvet Oasis is tea. Oh, I didn't know that, Carol. Oh, gosh, she was so generous. Thank you so much. Thank you, Barbara. I didn't know that. See, you're both Canadian, right? You got that right away. Oh, I didn't know that. What's wrong with me? I'm such a jerk. I ought to know more about her. She's such a sweetie. This is such, and the green screen is playing up, but there's such a lot of beautiful fall colored fibers in there. And I saw people with this out at TIGHR working on their pieces and pulling pieces of sari ribbon and cording and different things off of this, right? Because this is a huge amount of material. Like, you could do a rug, or you could do a good part of a rug with just these colors. And maybe that's not a bad idea either. Thinking of my Chetty Camp rug. But incredible. Like, it's just an incredible swag bag, including the crazy bag. Thought that was amazing. Yeah, it was a hell of a nice gift, you know. All right, so let's keep going with our thingy-madoodle. Very generous. Yeah, that was incredible. And it's so much fun being in the hotel room, and it was like Rebecca and I were going through it going, oh my God, there's more. There's more. We were so excited. I was so tired. And she had to wake up at like 3 in the morning to make her flight to get out here. So we were dying, but we could not stop looking at our swag bags. It was too fun. This must be another morning, because a little bit of a gray morning, but beautiful. And hold on, I'm just fooling around with technology. Hold on. Trying to figure out where we got to. Where'd we get to? There we are. Another beautiful day. So I went back to the display to see if I could take more pictures, and I might pronounce this badly, I'm sorry, but I think it's Métis pattern hooking challenge. So this was like a hooking challenge within TIGHR. So this is something that I'm thinking about too. There was a friendship mat exchange, right? And a lot of people participated in that, but there was also the Métis pattern hooking challenge, where you were given apparently this pattern, right, with the symbol of the Métis, and I think this is like an indigenous group of people associated with this immediate part of Canada. I'm sorry, I don't know Canadian history as well as I should. But many people took up the challenge and hooked something for the Métis challenge. For example, these rugs. There was quite a few displays of these rugs, and they were gorgeous. And you see different sizes, right? Different colors, different frames. I only took pictures of a few of the displays because there were plenty. And you know, I took some close-ups of some of them to show you. I tend to like the brighter ones, right? I always tend to like those, but again, so nice having a challenge like this where everybody's hooking the same thing. We always say on this show that it's fun to compare and contrast and look at stuff that someone else is making, same pattern, and the choices that they've made that are different to your choices, right? It's such a lot of fun to see the differences and to see the variety. And this hooking challenge was one of those great opportunities. This is definitely something I want to think about for 2027. I want to have plenty of stuff that we do and we bring together when the event happens, right? I love stuff like this. I love not just showing up for the event, but I love the idea of digging in for 3 years, working on stuff that will culminate and that will be displayed at the event, right? That gives us lots of time to work on stuff and to get stuff ready. So be brainstorming with me and absolutely always be sending me your ideas again for projects, for teachers you'd like to see, for things you'd like to see demonstrated, for vendors that you know, who you'd like to have there. Think about it. We've got time. We've got lots of time, but think about it so that we have everything just so when the time comes. So these are some of the close-up mats of the Métis Challenge, and I think these are just gorgeous. Save the hues of those who hurt. Save the, does that say hues? Save the hues. Gentle hands. Um, oh, why can't I read upside down? I have a real problem. It has to be easier to do in person. It's a beautiful rug. I love the electric glow in the center of the rug. It looks like it has a Waldeboro lives. Oh, Carol. Honestly, this is my one glass of wine tonight. It's not even full. Save the lives of those who hurt. Gentle hands, hard of work. Hard of work, too. Gentle hands, hard at work to save the lives of those. Oh my God, Barbara, thank you. Thank you. Still tired, I'm telling you. I'm not recovered. Thank you. Okay, that makes way more sense than what I was doing. Sorry about that. I'm bumbling through like an idiot. Very, very pretty sentiment. And I think there's some Waldeboro happening in the center of this. Really, really charming. I like the border too. It has a bit of a rougher look, right? Like it looks like yarn, but it's not all the same height. It is really pretty. It's very engaging because the center is quite technical. Got a lot of variety in this piece. It really caught my eye, so that was the reason it was one of the ones that I took photographs of. Another one, a lot of strong directional hooking. You see on the border, left to right, horizontal, in the center, north, south, vertical. Really pretty. Similar color family, right? But quite different colors. It has, because it looks very mottled, I think. I don't know if it's done in velvet or if it's just the way the shadows landed, which it well could be. If you start and stop at the same places, right, and you have something that's slightly dip-dyed, you get this kind of effect. Absolutely beautiful. The colors are very, very bright on many of these. I was very excited and attracted by this. Really, lots of fun. Just seeing them all side by side was a lot of fun. And I think I have one more for tonight. Yep, I have one more. Nice blue background again, mottled background. Um, I wondered if there was like a color scheme that's associated with the Métis, and I wasn't sure. I know there was somebody who I think was doing it. I think it was still like Métis. I want to say not belts. What do I want to say, Carol and Barbara? Um, Not belts. Somebody sashes, right? There was a teacher teaching Métis sashes. And I wasn't in that class. I only took two of the classes, and we'll talk about those on the next episode. But really, really fun. Thank you, Carol. That's it. Really fun. Little beaded center in this one too, maybe a button or something like that. But such a lot of fun. So Karen Ledyard taught Métis Sash. Thank you, Barbara. Did you take that one? Did you take that class? I'll talk about the two classes that I took. It's getting hot in here with this light hit me. Um, on one of the next episodes because we've hardly scratched the surface. Oh, did you, Barbara? How would Barbara, if you can, if you can and you want, can you send if you took any photos from that class? I would love to show them next time we look at the TIGHR stuff because I'd like to do one more episode here and talk about the class. I took some classes. There's more exhibit stuff to show. I got to turn this light down. Sorry, it's killing me. getting like a sweaty mustache times. Um, yeah, I would be really curious to see how that went. Okay, excellent, excellent. Anita, red, blue, and green and yellow are the Métis colors. Thank you so much. Red, blue, green, and yellow. So the primary colors plus green. So perfect. So there was a real sort of predominance of bright colors, and that's got to be why, right? That's really interesting. Good, you have some photos. I'd love to show them in the next one because that was something I missed completely. There were so many classes happening constantly. There was morning and afternoon classes every day, and there were some classes that were whole day. So it was tricky because it was hard to choose, and everything sounded great. Everybody was doing different stuff. Some people weren't taking classes. They were just enjoying Niagara Falls, enjoying seeing their friends after 3 years, enjoying sitting and hooking together. On the last day, there was vendor stuff, which was fun. I think when we do 2027, we're going to do, like I said, vendor stuff 2 days, like right at the beginning, because I know there's a lot of things wrong with me. Like we know that, but I got to shop. I got to get me some wool, right? I've been surrounded by wool, but I got to get me some of someone else's wool and yarn and their stuff, all of their stuff. So I bought Carrie Jackson's thing, right, and I bought stuff from Betty Ann. But I love seeing stuff that people are selling too because it's just different stuff, and I bet a lot of you can relate to this sentiment. But when you pick up stuff like this at this kind of convention and it's different stuff than you normally see or it's different vendors than you normally see, it's exciting because it's like not only did you shop and you got something pretty, but it's like the promise of what it will turn into, isn't it? It's almost like when you buy supplies, it's almost like, this is very enabling talk here. It's almost like you're partway done with the project, right? Because you bought beautiful stuff, so you've got the supplies nailed. That part's done, and it's almost like you've made progress somehow. I mean, this is the thing about hoarding, isn't it? I just defined it by accident. So, oh, thanks, Gail. I'm so excited to see your photos, Barbara. I'm really excited. I'm really happy. I took a few in my two classes too. And hey, if anyone else is there who took classes, Carol, if you took classes and you want to share photos, I would love to see photos of other classes because I was dying to know what was going on and dying to see other people's projects and stuff. It really was fun. I hung out quite a bit. Well, obviously I was with Rebecca, but we tried not to hang out together like too much while we were there. We tried to sit with other people and stuff because we see each other. Even though she's in Colorado, I've seen her recently, and we talk almost every day. So we were like, let's make sure that we visit with other people, which we did because there was a lot of people who we both knew were there, and I just wanted to spend time with people who I don't talk to every day. So we were buddying up quite a bit though because we did have to do some secret talks about TIGHR, and Colleen Tiefenthal was also there, and she's coming in as secretary. So we did have a couple of meals together to talk about, what we liked about this conference, the way that it was. We liked 99%, but we said let's change, let's do this a different way, let's do that a different way, and we will kind of reconnoiter with the board that just put on. Um, Niagara Falls. And in the next months, we'll be talking with them about what they struggled with, what was best, what worked well, what they, once they get their feedback back to what people liked, what people would like to see differently. We need all of that information. We need to gather it and then cull and find out how to run. It's not about new and improved, is it? It's not about um, making it, refining it, making it better and better with each iteration. It's not about that. It's about, was anything glaringly missing for a lot of people? Because things like that, like real holes, would be things that we would want to correct for the next one if possible, and if that fits with our vision for the next one. Because our vision for the next one really is lots of different things, lots of rug hooking, but lots of other stuff too, so that if you've been rug hooking your whole life, you could still go and say, well, but I've never made a Rhea rug, and let's go, let's do this. We're also trying to think of creative ways so that people, because there's, X amount of teachers, right? Even if there's lots of teachers, there's always going to be people who don't get into the class with the teacher who they want. And that's a real problem. So we are open for suggestions to that too. We are definitely thinking about ways to do things that work a little bit differently, classes that have different structures, as well as traditional classes. We're definitely thinking about asking teachers who we expect to be very popular to teach multiple times. We are thinking about doing stuff where um, teachers are demonstrating, right? And when I was talking to Michelle McGarelli earlier before the show, when I was over at her house today, we were talking about this problem and we're coming up with ideas. And she said, "What about doing something like consulting time, like block? Like she's got consulting time, and if you sign up for 15 minutes with her, almost like a guidance counselor or something, you bring the project you're working on, or you tell her what you want to work on, and that's your time with her." And to be honest, in classes, I don't think it would be typical in like a 2 or 3 hour class for a teacher to spend 15 minutes with one student, right? That's not going to happen across the board anyway. So being able to slot in time with many different people who you really love, and if you didn't get into a class with them, that would be the next best thing. You get their undivided attention for a block of time. That sounded like a great idea to me. But we're trying to brainstorm stuff like this, demonstrators, and just different formats of class so that the you can't get around the problem that if there are, for example, 20 different classes and there are 5 teachers who are the most popular, there are going to have to be people who don't make it into that class. So we have 3 years to think about how we can make that have the least sort of negative spin. How can we spin it so that people can get time with the teachers who they really want to have time with? Um, it's a tough one, isn't it? It seems like an impossible puzzle, but nothing is impossible. We just have to figure out how to make it work. So that, for example, people who are not taking classes and are TIGHR members, I know in Newport, right? Because we're talking about New England at this point, and southern New England. So I expect we will catch a lot of people in New England in general, including northern New England and Canada, driving down. Like I drove up to Canada, right? People will be driving down. And I expect people on the eastern seaboard in the tri state area to also be driving. Easy peasies, like a day drive. And there's going to be a lot of people with this 2027 who are close enough to drive for the day. And we're going to have to think about that too, because if people are close enough to drive for the day, then we're going to have a lot of people who are not necessarily taking hotel rooms, which is not a bad thing, right? Because then we can have more people at the event, but not sleeping there, right? Or sleeping outside of town because they drove, right? And they have their car and they're like, I'm going to stay at the Motel 8. That's how I roll. And I'll drive over a 5-minute drive for my classes. I'm going to do that instead. There's going to be all kinds of variety there because while Newport is a big destination, it is right in the hornet's nest of so many guilds and so many known hookers, right? This is like the hotbed of hooking right here in New England. So it's going to be interesting to see as this grows and as we brainstorm how it evolves so that it is the best possible event that really represents New England and Newport specifically, right? Like just the vibe of it, not all nautical, but just the vibe of it. And we will have in this one, I'll show you in the next episode, we did our denim jackets. We are going to have something similar, but not exactly the same for the next one, which will be fun and will be fun to announce in due time. And yeah, start thinking about ideas too, because I've been rattling around ideas and thoughts with Rebecca and Colleen, Haley, and Naomi for the last few months. And we have solved a lot of problems. We are way ahead of the ball, I have to say. We before we're even, officially whatever, we have already like done stuff with the hotel and sorted out lots of stuff. What we need next is for you all to bring your great ideas in problem solving so that it can be an event that represents the people who are coming. It's not supposed to represent me and the board. It's supposed to represent you who are coming. And we want to show you the things when you come that you want to have there. If we do that, we will have succeeded, right? If we bring some new people to the craft over the next 3 years, we will have succeeded. This is a great opportunity for us to talk about the event, for us to boost the visibility of the event. It's a really big deal. I'm very glad that I said yes to this because, man, um, it was a lot of no's. It was a lot of no's. But yeah, it's going to be great, and we're all going to have a lot of fun. So Lots of things to think about. All right. In the next episode, I will keep showing you some of the slides from the TIGR, and I am very tired. And some of the classes, and maybe some of you will send your photos from the class. And I will also be showing you. Um, oh, the spine is green. Magnificent bugs and rugs, right? So if you saw the video and you saw the exhibit on bugs, I have the book, right? And I'm going to help you. I've been talking to Leslie about. It's very hard to get this book. I got it in person, but it's hard for them to sell it. It's hard to find a platform. It's hard to make anything other than a huge loss on a one-off book. And this is like a charity project. So I'm working with her on figuring out how we can get a hold of some of these books so that when I run the episode that is specifically on the bugs, all of the bugs and more that are in the exhibit, I want to also be able to tell you how you can get this book. So I might be the middleman for that for her. And yeah, this will be a different episode altogether. But holy moly's, you recognize that one from the video? We will look at this in great detail together. This was the Katie did, I think, was my favorite. I really liked that one. This is many of these are in the video, but we will look at the book, and again, we'll talk about that in a future episode. Oh, great, April! Really enjoyed seeing the pics from the trip. Have a great weekend, everybody. Happy Columbus Day. Have a great weekend. Tomorrow I will be in, I think it's Meriden, with at the chapter number 1, the nutmegs. If you are a nutmeg, I will see you tomorrow. I'm bringing a few things to sell, quite a few things actually. And I will be giving a talk on the haunted rug, bringing some of the pieces, finished rugs from the haunted rug, a little preview. Many of the people I think from that guild will be going to the haunted rug book party because it's not that far away. It's like less than an hour. So those are buddies who I've seen recently and we'll see again. So I'll be doing that tomorrow. Lots of things on the calendar. Be sure that you're reading the next book if you are in the book club. I chose a spooky book for um, October, thinking about the month of Halloween. Let me show you the cover. It is in our Facebook group, and I'll give you the date just in case. Do you know the classic horror book, which is considered by many to be the scariest book of all time, Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House? Well, literally, just like yesterday or the day before, it's not a sequel. It's not a sequel. It's like a sequel, but it is completely its own independent book called The Haunting on the Hill by Elizabeth Hand, who in her own right is a super well-known British horror writer. Is taking the characters from the book and putting them back in Hill House. So it sounds like a sequel, but it's actually not. This completely stands independently. If you already know the book, The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, I'm probably going to reread that too or listen to it on Audible. That is one of my favorite books of all time, and it is terribly scary. I haven't started listening to this yet, but I assume it's going to be also very, very scary. The early reviews are like, it is terrifying. It's a good Halloween book. This is the book that we're reading next, The Haunting on the Hill by Elizabeth Hand. That book club meeting, which is recorded, you could watch our earlier 2 book club meetings too if you like. That the book club meeting is happening on October, the day before Halloween, October 30th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So get going with reading that. Yep, and remember, if you're signing up for the party, the Haunted Rug Party, Hook In and Rug Show, I have to have the numbers in by Monday. So be thinking about that, Columbus Day. Be thinking about that. I want to get them to him in the afternoon on Monday, and then I can't do anything after that because of the tea sandwiches. All right, everybody. There's a bunch of stuff on the calendar. If you're local, I will be teaching on October 27th in Madison, Connecticut at Madison Wool, the Sugar Skull Pumpkins. I do that every October. And I am having a hook along, a ribbon candy hook along. And I have it as a product this time. Normally, I don't put any of these things behind paywalls, but with hook alongs, I'm often there for between 4 and 7 hours straight. And it's a big part of my day. So I put up the hook along as a $5 product, and that comes with a download. It is Crazy Quilt Coffin. If you would like to log on as a beginner or you just want some company, I put that up, and the link to that is also in the description of this video you're watching right now. The hook along is Friday, October 25th, and that will be, I didn't put the times in my phone, but I think it's something like 4. starts at 4, maybe early, maybe it's earlier. Make sure you check. But I'll be on there for that too. So there's quite a lot coming up, and then I have 2 speaking dates the last week of October, in Miller, Alfred, New York, and Bingham, Binghamton, New York, right? 2 different New York speaking dates. So if you're in either of those places, either get in touch with me, or look at the Ribbon Candy Hooking website, because those will be 2 more live events for me. And then there's a bunch more coming up in November. We'll talk about that later. Happy weekend, everybody. Happy Columbus Day. It's great to be back. It's great to see you. I hope that I will see you soon. I will certainly see you on Monday for Columbus Day. So until then, happy weekend, everybody. And it was a lot. Oh my gosh. Is it Thanksgiving in Canada? Oh my gosh, Carol, happy Thanksgiving. I didn't realize it was already. Happy Thanksgiving to all our Canadian friends. Bon appetit and all of that. Great. I will see you all on Thanksgiving is still Thursday, right? Is it next Thursday? Or it's over the weekend? Carol, is Thanksgiving on Monday? I don't want to run a show if it's Canadian Thanksgiving. I could push it. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm just going to see if it's on my. I want to tell you right now if I'm going to fool with the date because of that. I'm wondering Monday. Okay. Whew, Carol, thank you. Okay. So why don't I run a live show? Why don't I run a live show? Kirsten, I'll do it before Kirsten's hook in on Tuesday morning. Let's do that. I don't want to run opposite a holiday, and I know like half of you are Canadians. So happy Thanksgiving on Monday. I'll run the show at 11 a.m. on Tuesday. I'm going to put that in the calendar right now. And then Kirsten, okay. And then, and then Kirsten will run after that. So, yep, I will be with you on Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for coffee time, and we will pick up our conversation, just put it in the phone, on TIGHR. And yeah, for those of you that have photos, send them to me in the meantime at ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com. Cheers, my dears. Bon appetit. Happy Thanksgiving, and I will see you all on Tuesday. Thumbs up. Thank you, Mom.